And we're going to interrupt that story to take you live now to Missouri, where Governor Nixon is urging for calm with the situation in Ferguson. Let's listen in.
The decision. People on all sides show tolerance, mutual respect, and restraint. Earlier today, I visited with some folks in Ferguson, and it's understandable that, like the rest of us, they are on edge waiting for a decision. But they are doing their best to go about their daily lives, conduct their business, and support one another and their community. I also spoke with a number of faith leaders late this afternoon who offered their prayers for peace and safety. Together, we are all focused on making sure the necessary resources are at hand to protect lives, protect property, and protect free speech. Several churches will be providing safe havens throughout the area to provide food, shelter, and medical care. Mental health providers have teamed up to help ease the emotional strain that these events have caused. These health professionals are working right now to provide counseling and other services to the people that need them. Law enforcement officials continue to maintain open lines of communication with protest leaders to improve the interactions between police and demonstrators and prevent violence. I want to thank my Director of Public Safety, Dan Isom, for taking part in these ongoing discussions. State and local law enforcement agencies are continuing to work hand in hand to make sure the best, most experienced officers are on the street. The men and women of the National Guard will also be in the area to provide security at critical facilities like firehouses, police stations, and utility substations, and offer logistical and transportation support as needed. This will help free up law enforcement officers to do their jobs effectively. In closing, I'd like to reiterate my call for peace, respect, and restraint, and thank everyone out there who is working hard to make sure communities throughout the region are safe and secure. I'd now like to ask County Executive Dooley to make a couple comments, and I'll call on the rest of our folks, and we'll be glad to take a few questions. The County Executive of St. Louis County, Charlie Dooley.
Let me say good evening to all of you. I do not know what the prosecuting attorney will have to say this evening, but I do know this. No matter what is announced, people will be emotional. I want people to think with their heads and not with emotion. No matter what, we have to remain focused on our long-term systemic changes that has to take place in our community. Our immediate priority is to ensure that people are safe and able to voice their concerns in an orderly fashion. Police and community groups have been working for weeks to ensure the rights are protected. We are committed to de-escalating negative situations in a responsible manner. I do not want people in this community to think they have to barricade their doors and take up arms. We are not that kind of a community. I do not want people to accidentally shoot or harm someone out of fear. This is not the time to turn on each other. It is a time to turn to each other. We are one community. Again, our main priority at this time is to ensure that we keep people safe and protect property. We intend to do that. But it is to be said and to be clear that in achieving these objectives, we recognize the right of people to peacefully assemble and to express free speech rights. We will honor that as long as safety and security are not jeopardized. I personally believe that people in this community will do what is right. In October, there were thousands of people here peacefully protesting and expressing their views. No one was hurt. Many people have spent countless hours working on ways to manage this situation once the grand jury decision is announced. And now is the time to show the world that we can act without being destructive. I am confident that this will be a fact. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the great leader of the great city of St. Louis, Mayor Francis Slay.
Thank you, Governor, and good evening. St. Louis is a region that endures during challenging times. We have seen it time and time again. We have seen it in the face of personal tragedy, and we've seen it in the aftermath of natural disaster. We face one of those times today. What happened to Michael Brown has deeply divided us. Whatever is announced this evening, some people are going to be angry and frustrated. And some people are going to be angry and frustrated about that. My message to the protesters: we will protect your right to peacefully assemble and to speak your mind. Like last night, we will give you leeway to occupy public safety, and we will listen to your grievances. But turning violent or damaging property will not be tolerated. To the people who disagree with the protesters, the actions we are taking are designed to protect you, to protect your family, your homes, your businesses, and your neighborhoods. That is our paramount concern. Over the next few days, we expect to see St. Louisans loudly and passionately expressing their views. We expect to see some of the best police officers in the country protecting their rights and keeping everyone safe. But after that, it will be time to heal, to close the racial divide, and to make St. Louis a better place for everyone, regardless of race or color. We all may experience some inconvenience during the coming days. Depending on the circumstances, we may allow demonstrators to slow down traffic, but we will not allow them to hurt anyone or damage anyone's property. That's how it went last night in the Shaw neighborhood. It wasn't perfect. There were 2 acts of vandalism, but there was no other property damage, and most importantly, no one was seriously injured. When President Abraham Lincoln first proclaimed a National Day of Thanksgiving in 1863, it's worth recalling that he sought to help a nation heal and to work together toward the promise of what he called a large increase in freedom. The world will be watching us. They're going to watch how we handle our disagreements in the coming days and how we make needed change in the coming months and years. St. Louis finds itself with an opportunity to show the nation the ways in which a community can be more fair and more just for everyone. We must seize this opportunity together.
Now one more speaker, and then I'll be glad to take questions here. The Director of Public Safety of the state of Missouri, Director Dan Isom.
Thank you, Governor. I've spent my entire life as a resident of the city of St. Louis and served 24 years as a member of the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, retiring as Chief of Police. The St. Louis County Police, the St. Louis City Police, and the Missouri Highway Patrol have spent the last 2 months planning and training for the anticipated reaction to the announcement that will be made in the next few hours. The plan is designed for all contingencies, but we hope that officers will only observe peaceful protests. I have great confidence in the design of this plan. It has prioritized keeping all people safe, residents and protesters, the protection of property, and ensuring that people can exercise their constitutional rights. I also have tremendous confidence in the men and women in St. Louis law enforcement. They understand the importance of protecting everyone, and I know they intend to do so. I also have great confidence in the people of my community. A tremendous dialogue has begun to take place here about more than just policing. This community understands that through peaceful protest and through dialogue, we will continue to grow, and that violence will set this progress back. We must continue to move this community forward, and I have confidence that is exactly what we will do tonight and in the days ahead of us.
With that, I'd be glad to take questions. Yeah, Rock.
Governor, I'm wondering, was there any thought of delaying this till tomorrow morning? Seems like the element of darkness at night makes it possibly more dangerous for the protesters as they do show up, and the police officers, as well as people just standing around.
Those were decisions made by the St. Louis County Prosecutor's Office, and that is who made that call. So, in that sense, yeah, Jace.
Governor, what would you say to the thousands of people and the millions of people around America who felt like the government has failed them over the last 3.5 months, that the judicial system has failed them over the last 3.5 months?
Well, our focus is not about what happened over the last 3.5 months. I think the last 3.5 months has provided additional training, has provided additional sensitivity and additional knowledge on everybody in front. Our focus today in the short run here is to protect lives, protect property, and to protect speech. And in the longer run, as the mayor said, to find paths for progress. So our focus is on those clear principles as we move forward. Yes, ma'am.
How are you going to move forward in terms of healing the racial divide? What sorts of steps are you going to take?
Well, I said tonight is about the pieces that are in place to do what we've got to do. Clearly, all of the folks behind me, as well as significant leaders in the community, have begun that process. I had a chance right before I came in here, the conference call with a number of faith leaders who are working deeply and with long hours to do just that. We have, with the Office of Community Engagement here, with Senator Coleman doing that on a daily basis. All of these folks behind me have been outreach and in the community listening and working, and also the commission that I've appointed. I fully expect that with their independent voice and their clear ability to chart a long-term path forward, that we will all have suggestions which can lead us in a positive path forward. Yes, sir.
Have you ruled out the use of armored vehicles and tear gas?
I'm not going to get into operational details, but the bottom line is that the police have been trained, as the mayor said and as others said, to make sure that we are respecting people's rights to communicate and that allowing them to do that. However, on the other side, if people are violent or threaten property, then resources will be used to manage the issues. Yes, sir.
Governor, are you planning to stay in the area in the coming days and just have constant updates on what's going on?
I've been here, I believe, 7 of the last 8 days, and we'll be here tonight and as long as it takes to make sure that we move through this particular phase, whatever it may be, into the next phase.
We've got time for one more question.
Joe.
Excuse me,
Joe,
Nixon,
quick first here, Joe.
Wouldn't the lack of an indictment be a justification of police violence and lead to
I've
more
called on Ms.
police
Manis first.
violence?
Just
And
if
if
I
I
could.
might ask you, you need to let the alternative press speak here. I'm from Revolution Newspaper, Larry Everest. And so wouldn't a lack of indictment mean fear for black people all over this country and effectively a green light to further police violence? And second, I would like to pose to you how you would respond to the call by Carl Dix and many others from the Revolutionary Communist Party that if Darren Wilson is not indicted for murder, the country be brought to a halt through energetic civil disobedience by millions of people.
I do not know what the grand jury has ruled, nor do I know what the prosecutor is going to announce at 8 o'clock tonight. Yeah, Joe.
Can you say now roughly how many National Guard will be at least on standby, so to speak? I know the mayor has said before he's asked for 400, and how long you think they may be needed?
Well, I mean, as I said before, we'll have Guard resource here that will play a support role. For example, providing utility substation security. As we know, on Halloween, the power went out here in Ferguson. Most of the proof would indicate that that was not accidental, nor was it a squirrel running down a wire or whatever happens sometimes. Also, police substations and stations. The Guard can provide support roles there so that those police officers can get out into the community. And also things like firehouses where those, if called upon, both the EMT and the fire resources need to get there in real time and providing that security. So in roles like that, support roles like that, the Guard will be out there. Our hope is that it is for a shorter period of time as is necessary, and that that backup role is is all that will be necessary. Thank you all very, very much.
Do you have faith in this process?
And you've been listening in live to a press conference happening in Missouri with the governor there, county executive, the mayor of St. Louis, all of them walking a fine line between emphasizing the need to protect citizens and property and also not trample on free speech. The focus from all of them tonight as we await this grand jury decision is on nonviolence. The governor there did say they will have the best, most experienced police officers on hand in Ferguson, Missouri tonight, as well as support from the National Guard as we await this decision that is set to come in at 9 o'clock tonight. We will have live coverage, and we will be right back.